All right, so today we're basically playing detective. And our case, it all revolves around this one single, really haunting photograph from the 19th century. And the mystery is, why did the guy who took it, its creator, want to destroy it? So let's dive in. Okay, so here it is. This is our central piece of evidence. What you're looking at is a portrait of the great French painter Eugène Delacroix. It was taken way back in 1858 by a groundbreaking photographer named Nadar. And just look at the intensity in his eyes. It's an image that really sticks with you, you know? And it's considered, and rightly so, a total masterpiece of early photography. And this is where we get to the heart of the mystery. See, according to historical accounts, Nadar, the guy who took this incredible photo, was so deeply unsettled by what he saw that he actually thought about destroying the negative. I mean, think about that. Why on earth would an artist want to just erase their own masterpiece? That's the question we've got to answer. Okay, to crack this case, we really need to understand the world this photograph came from. It's a story that has, well, three main parts. You've got the guy in the picture, you've got the guy behind the camera, and then you have all these wild radical ideas that were just swirling around Paris in the 19th century. So let's start with our first person of interest, the painter, Eugène Delacroix. Now, this guy wasn't just some artist. No. In the mid-19th century, he was the leading figure of the whole French Romantic movement, a total titan of his time. This painting right here, it basically tells you everything you need to know about Delacroix. This is his famous piece, The Death of Sardanapalus. And as you can see, it is not peaceful. It's not orderly, it is chaotic, it's violent, it's emotional, and it's just exploding with color. His art was all about capturing that raw passion, the drama, the untamed, messy parts of life. All right, now for a really crucial piece of this puzzle. It's this idea called physiognomy. So get this, back in the 19th century, a lot of people genuinely believed you could literally read a person's inner character, their soul even, just by looking at their face. We're talking genius, criminality, kindness, all of it was supposedly written right there in the shape of your nose, the set of your jaw, the look in your eyes. Wild, right? And look, people took this idea incredibly seriously. I'm not kidding. Theorists made these super elaborate diagrams, comparing human faces to animals to try and figure out their personalities. So you might be seen as, gentle, like a sheep, or maybe you'd have the brutal obstinance of a bull. I know, it seems completely bizarre to us now, but for them, this was treated like a legitimate science of character. All right, now let's bring in our second major player, Nadar, the photographer. But honestly, calling him just a photographer doesn't even begin to cover it. The guy was an artist, an innovator, a pioneer of a technology that was about to change the world forever. And here he is, the man himself. I mean, you could almost feel the charisma just radiating from this portrait, can't you? Nadar was a legit celebrity in his own right. He was a central figure in that whole bohemian, artsy world of Paris. Basically, he knew everyone, and everyone knew him. And this was his headquarters. We are not talking about some little back alley hobby shop. Nadar's studio was this huge, high-tech operation right in the heart of Paris. Photography was big business, a modern marvel that promised to capture reality with, perfect scientific accuracy. But Nadar and his friends had even bigger plans. This famous caricature here says it all. It shows him up in a hot air balloon, literally elevating photography to the level of art. So you see, they weren't just trying to make records of things. No, they were making art with a capital A. And they truly believed it could rival and maybe even one day surpass painting itself. Okay, so now we have these two powerful forces on a collision course. On one side, you have Delacroix, the master of passionate, emotional painting. And on the other, you have Nadar, the champion of this brand new, supposedly truth-telling technology. And their worlds are about to clash in a way nobody expected. To really get the tension here, you have to know about the biggest fight happening in the art world at the time. This cartoon kind of sums it up. It's called the Battle of the Schools. On one side, you've got our guy, Delacroix, the champion of Romanticism. And on the other side, his great rival, Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres, who was the top dog of Neoclassicism. And this was a fundamental disagreement about what art should even be. For Delacroix and the Romantics, it was all about vibrant color, raw emotion, lots of movement, and just messy passion. But for Ingres and the Neoclassicists, nope, it was all about perfect lines, cool reason, stillness, and total absolute order. They were complete opposites. And I mean, the difference is just striking when you see them side by side. On the left, Delacroix's work feels alive, right? It's all these sensual brushstrokes and warm, emotional colors. And then on the right, Ingres' painting is so cool, so controlled, absolutely perfect in its lines. You really don't need to be an art historian to feel that massive difference. So you've got this huge debate just raging in the art world. But then, what happens when a third player enters the game? Something that claims to capture reality itself perfectly? Well, this is where our investigation takes a really unexpected turn. Okay, you have to look closely at this. On the left, that's a photograph. On the right, that's a painting by Delacroix. And yes, the painting is based directly on the photograph. The great master of Romantic expression, the guy who was all about the artist's inner vision, was secretly using this new, supposedly artless technology as a tool for his own work. This was a huge deal and a huge secret at the time. Okay, let's recap. Let's assemble our clues. We have Delacroix, the fiery genius. We have photography, this new machine that's supposed to capture the truth. And we have this entire era that's completely obsessed with the idea that you can read a soul just by looking at a face. So now, let's go back to our key piece of evidence. I want you to look at this face again, but this time, try to see it through 19th century eyes. See it through the eyes of Nadar, a man who believed in physiognomy and who absolutely idolized Delacroix. What was it that he saw in this photo that so deeply, profoundly disturbed him? And here, I think we find the solution to our mystery. You see, Nadar's photograph wasn't just a likeness of Delacroix. For people at the time, who were so steeped in all these ideas, it was a profound, almost terrifying revelation of the man's inner self. The camera, you see, it did something a painting never could. It just stripped away all the artistic flattery. It captured the raw, tired, intense man in absolutely unsparing detail. So for an era that was obsessed with physiognomy, this was like a direct map of his genius, but also his torment. Nadar, who worshipped Delacroix, suddenly saw the real man behind the myth, and it was revealed with this cold, scientific honesty that must have felt almost invasive. It was so true that it hurt, and that is why he thought about destroying it. It was simply too much truth. You know, we're incredibly lucky he didn't destroy it. We really are. But his hesitation, it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question, doesn't it? In our world today, which is just saturated with endless selfies and filters, what does it actually take for a single portrait to stop us in our tracks and show us something truly, maybe even uncomfortably real?